Well, thank you all for inviting me. Well, Joe invited me, and I'm happy all of you showed up today. This is a really great program. I did electronically send this presentation to Joe, and I believe he disseminated it. This is a good reference point for you. It'll talk about eligibility requirements. You might want to flip the page to that. Contact information. So if you don't have it today, that's fine. You could just follow along on the slides. So as I said, my name is Julia Goldstein, and I work for Vermont Technical College as the Student Support Services Project Manager for SWIFI. My main goal is to enroll people and work with students and talk to referral agencies such as yourself to help us recruit people for this program. Let me just see.
That remote will work. That I have
Oh. Oh, okay. This one?
No, there's a tiny one to the right.
Oh, I must have put my paper over it. Yeah. Okay.
If you just push those arrows.
Yeah.
Right and left. Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to have my back to you then.
You're all good.
Sorry about that. Okay. So, Strengthening Working Families Initiative, which is SWIFI for short, is a U.S. Department of Labor grant that was granted to 14 different kinds of school and organizations across the country. They wanted to try to increase the accessibility to training and to employment, break down barriers to that, and to employ people on the end of the program. Oh, did I push the wrong one? Okay. So, as I said, there's 14 grantees. Each of us has focused on a different area. We've chosen to focus on manufacturing. So our goal is to provide advanced manufacturing training with wraparound services to working families to help employment and training be more accessible to them. We also, just one more thing. We also want to have them gain employment in a livable wage job with good benefits and stability for their families. That's important. We chose manufacturing. That was one of the reasons it has great benefits and stability. So there are eligibility requirements. The person has to be 17 years old or older. They have to be a parent, and parent is broadly defined as grandparent with custody. As a step-parent, even boyfriend, girlfriend might work out if they meet the other requirements. Married parents, single parents, divorced parents with custody. And these are foster parents, and they're all written down there on the asterisk. So they have to be a parent of a child 13 years or younger. Or if the child has a developmental delay or disability, they can be 13 to 17. They have to currently not be working in manufacturing unless it's through a temp agency, and that's fine. And they have to be eligible to work in the U.S. We chose manufacturing because, as I mentioned, the good benefits. It also has a high retirement age, so not only are there jobs in the future, but, in the present, there's going to be more in the future. It has great room for advancement. It's just a really stable career to go into. And we've talked to a lot of manufacturers throughout the state, and they're really desperate for people. So, if we can provide them, they want them to come in as long as they do well and get good grades and show that they can be committed to the job. We do have a lot of partners. I mentioned a few of them. So Working Bridges, which is a United Way organization, usually is on employer sites as resource coordinators. They've agreed to do that for students. They provide everything from help with transportation, which we know is key, help with housing, food stability, financial literacy, computers, lots of things. And they meet one-on-one with the students to tell them what they offer and for the students to tell them what they think they need. Vermont Adult Learning, we are working with them to provide assessments at orientations prior to class on reading and sometimes math to make sure that these people are going to be successful in a classroom environment at this level. And if they're not, then they brush up their skills with Vermont Adult Learning, and then they can enter the program. The Department of Economic Development. then the employer side, they're helping develop relationships with employers who will agree to either, so they're going to interview our candidates. They agree with the concept of working families and helping them. They might do a lunch and learn or tour their facility, or as is going on today in our Williston class, an employer panel talking about their open positions, and Department of Labor is there as well. So we have quite a few partners, and then of course you guys are what we call referral partners. We hope that you'll refer people to us for the program. This is an overview of the different kind of courses, and Vermont Adult Learning, as I mentioned already, provides that the reading, math, writing type of courses. CCV is our partner for the training, which is called Certified Production Technician. I'll say CPT for short, so you know I mean Certified Production Technician, and I'll go into that in a moment. Vermont Tech then offers apprenticeships, if they want to take advantage of them, in industrial maintenance and advanced manufacturing. And then we've made these all stackable credentials to, if they want, lead to a degree. So if they go through the whole program, they'll be on their way to an associate's degree. Some people will just want to take part of the CPT. Some people want to go on. It's totally up to them, but we offer the opportunity. These are meant to be flexible pathways, on and off ramps to suit individual needs. So as I mentioned, if a person doesn't score well enough on the assessments, they can start with VAL. If a person has a degree, maybe experience past in manufacturing or experience with heavy machinery in the military, they might go directly into the apprenticeship. Most people will start with CPT though. And this training is no cost to eligible participants. It's credit bearing, which is why I say they'll be working their way to an associate's degree. Now, the Certified Production Technician, let me explain that a little bit. It is 4 modules that are 7 weeks each. Class meets once a week, so there's plenty of time for them to work, to get their paycheck in. Class is it's about 3 hours, and there's some e-homework they do on their own time. The modules start out with safety and go on to measurements and quality practices, processes and maintenance awareness. Each has its own certification, and then there'll be a certification at the end. And the certification is nationally recognized, and manufacturers recognize it and are looking for this kind of credential. So it's really good to have on your resume. The apprenticeships allow for on-the-job training. What I mean by that is the apprenticeships are all hands-on. We have labs, and we have a mobile lab. We have technology centers that have these in St. Albans. We already have an apprenticeship class running that's not part of SWIFI, but now SWIFI students can join it. So it's all hands-on experience. If they get hired, some employers might hire them after the first and second module because they're really desperate for people. The students can come back anytime through the life of their grant, which is June 30th, 2020, and continue getting free education. It's not free, it's no cost to them, but it's definitely not free. So this is to allow for faster employment, though, for people that need it. I mean, everybody needs it, but. So I mentioned the support services. One I didn't mention was our childcare community specialist with Shannon. You met Tracy. So she is great. She helps with referrals and building capacity. She has a database. She works at Child Development Division, or is located there. A whole database of daycares, and she will call them, see the availability, make sure that it's still what it says on the website, refer the student to that. She's also building capacity in different areas of the state. Direct Service Fund. So it's very small. It's meant to be kind of fill the gaps. So like, let's say someone has $80 copay with state child assistance, and they can only afford $40. That would be a good thing to put a request in to our Direct Service Fund to try to make up the difference, or maybe car repair or something like that. It's not guaranteed because it's a small fund, but it is there to try to bridge the gap for people. I mentioned Working Bridges already, the resource coordination. We are definitely looking for regional support. So this is a statewide grant, but we know that each of you know your regions better than we do. You know your clients better than we do. So we are looking for feedback to help tweak the program as we go along. We want to know what your clients are thinking about it, what you're thinking about it. And we have reached out to many, like the WIBs, the Workforce Investment Boards, where there is one, AHS, Department of Labor, many of these people to helping us understand, engage, and learn. So this is how the flow of how someone gets enrolled. Referrals, which would come from you guys, and we also have ads out there, things like that, would go directly to me, and my contact information is on the back of the presentation. I would enroll them in VTC, so they go through a series of questions, of course the eligibility questions, and then some other statistics that we need for the government. The support services, resource coordinator and child care community specialist is available. That services are available to them immediately. I will connect them to them. They go to an orientation where the resource coordinators will also meet with them one-on-one in person. They take the assessments that Val is offering, like reading and writing and math. And based on their scores, they will either Val will talk to them about what their next steps could be, registering with Val and getting ready for CPT, or they go directly to me and I help them register for the CCV course right there. Then the ones that some people will go into CPT, some people go to Val, some people, as the arrows show, will go into the apprenticeships. I mentioned some of this already as far as employers. So as we build classes across the state, we develop relationships at that point with employers. Vermont Tech knows most of the employers. We have a 100% placement rate just in Vermont Tech College over the last 11 years, so we have a lot of relationships. But this is developed to develop relationships where they agree with the SWIFT program, and as I said, agree to interview our candidates and that kind of thing. Department of Economic Development is helping us with that. The program manager, Beth Demers, is working on that as well. I think kind of covered the rest of that. So it says pilot classes started. So actually, those classes have finished in Williston and Springfield and are moving on to Module 2. Everybody passed the certification. We call it an assessment at that point. And they have moved on except for one person who is pregnant. I mean, actually, she just gave birth. And so that's great. We're looking to expand classes in Vermont. St. Albans is our next class, which is starting February 16th. All the dates are on the posters that I sent around. The start is February 16th, 9 to 12 in the morning. Then there are orientation dates listed there as well. I believe they are January 19th, 23rd, and February 2nd. Some of those are in the morning. One of them is in the afternoon. Try to be flexible for them. The prep work with Val begins immediately. And as I said, connection to support services begin immediately after I have a phone call with them and enroll. This is the general information. They can go to our website. That's one way to apply. They can go there. There's a short form application. It really just covers eligibility, and it gives me the ability to reach out to them with giving me their contact information. I can't accept contact information or really anything, a name from you guys, unless there's a disclosure agreement signed and faxed to me. So they can go on the site and apply, or they can call me directly, which is even better because then I can enroll them right there, and hopefully there's not a lot of back and forth. Tracy's name is down here, Childcare Questions. Our program manager, as I mentioned, is Beth Demers. But I'm pretty much like the person that you can ask questions about the program too. If I can't answer them, I can give you Beth, and to enroll the students. So now it's time for questions from you guys. I threw a lot at you, so feel free to think about it and then let me know. Let me know what you think about it. If you have any clients in mind. Any barriers you think? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Who is qualified for this, or who isn't qualified for it?
Well, you have to meet the eligibility requirements, as I said. So if you're not a parent or have some sort of custody or parenting duties, you're not eligible. If they're 13 or older, you're not eligible. So you remember okay, so I don't have to go over that again. There's no education requirement. There's no income requirement. There's no, you can have a criminal record, and that does not stop you from joining the program. You would just deal with the employer in the interview the way you would normally deal with them. Any particular group you're thinking of that you're wondering?
You answered all my questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Capacity, how many folks are you hoping to be enrolled in the St. Albans class?
So,
you have now, How many are you looking for?
Yeah, we need people. We've had people register in other areas of the state, but we only had one person so far in St. Albans, and classes are coming up soon. So, please get those people in so that we can run the class. If worst comes to worst, we don't have enough people, we can push the class date if the instructor can do that. So CCV likes to have 15 to 20 students in each class, but they've been flexible with us for lower numbers because they know we're just starting out in some areas. As you start to, we already have a teacher, that's why we set a class date, so we're not waiting for a cohort, we just need the cohort just to start the class on that date. Other states, other areas, we need for them to build a cohort first and then we set a class date, but you guys are set.
Transportation.
Yes. So transportation and childcare are the biggest issues. The government knows it. That's one of the reasons they're running this grant, to see if the things we offer can make a difference in a person who, for training and employment, as opposed to a person who doesn't have these things. We have the childcare, we have the resource coordinators from Working Bridges, which will help with transportation. We do not have childcare on site. We do not have cars to give them if they are looking to buy a car, and that might be something that we could refer if they just need a little money or whatever that is. Any transportation issues that come up are really part of the resource coordinator's job to help with. We had one person who we found was hitchhiking, and so we helped deal with that issue. All sorts of issues. Yeah.
The classes will be at CCV here?
Oh, good question. So yes, they will be at CCV. The only exception to that is our Williston class, which is at Vermont Tech, because there is not enough parking at Winooski. But yes, they will be at CCV.
And what time, is it going to be like an evening, it's one day, one class?
One day a week, 9 to 12.
9 to 12?
Yep, so it's a morning class. And they have to pre-register for the orientation. Orientation is around 3 hours. There's 2 assessments and some welcomes and introductories and signing papers and copying documents, that kind of thing, and meeting with the resource coordinator. Yeah.
I think one of the keys here is, even though the classes start on February 16th, the orientations begin on January 19th. So it behooves any of us to, we've got a couple of weeks, I guess is what I'm saying, to really identify and try to get information to do that.
Yeah, and you have more than that because we have 2 other orientation dates, but we don't want to wait till the last minute. We want to make sure we have enough people to run the class, so we avoid having to ask the instructor, can we push this class out or something like that. Yeah.
So corrections is not here this morning, but it seems like that would be a natural connection. Right?
Yeah, I've spoken with police and parole. Yep. And we do get some people from them. Nothing so far in St. Albans. Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure we have to.
Yeah, get them to me. Yeah, sometimes we feel like if we haven't set a particular class date, then people don't want to refer people, but that's already done, and we still need referrals. Yeah.
Do you have the times on the orientations yet?
Yeah, so the Friday morning ones are, which are the 19th and the 2nd, are from 9 to 12. And the one on the 23rd, which is not a Friday, I think it's either a Tuesday or Thursday, I think Tuesday, is from 1 to 4.
And that's at CCV as well?
No, that will be at Vermont Adult Learning, and I give them all that information once they call me to enroll. And then there'll be certain documents they need to bring, which I also let them know about. Things like birth certificate for their child, pay stub if they're employed to prove they're not in manufacturing, driver's license, current, and social security card. I let them know all that.
And one more question.
Yeah.
Do their children have to be in their custody, or can they get this help if the children have been temporarily removed, but the parents are trying to go to a direction to get their children back by doing stuff like this?
So,
Have children that are,
sorry?
or just have children.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the,
Just have children?
yeah, like parents. Any parents.
Yeah, as long as they're 13 or younger.
As long
they-
as the kids are 13 or younger.
Yeah, so the person has to have parenting duties. So that's why I said it could be a step parent. It could be they don't have custody necessarily. It could be boyfriend, girlfriend, depending on their parenting duties. So no, they don't have to have custody. It's just, but I will give you an example. There was someone from, I think he was from one of the recovery centers. We've talked to Turning Point and Barton Notch. He had just regained visiting rights the prior week to him calling me. And so because of that, he was eligible. Had he called me a week before that and didn't have any visiting rights, obviously no parenting duties, he would not be eligible.
So visiting rights represents parenting.
Yeah.
Visiting rights represents parenting.
Any other
And I
questions?
think if you're in doubt, call.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm here for. Yeah, and then when the person calls me, I'm going to go over that with them as well. Yeah. You don't actually have to go over eligibility requirements with them. It's for you to know. Yeah.
Can you clarify, you said something about they have to have pay stubs to show they don't work in manufacturing now?
Right, because one of the caveats, one of the eligibility requirements is not working in manufacturing unless they work through a temp agency. So like if they did that, we would need to see a pay stub from the temp agency. If they're not employed in manufacturing, they don't have to be employed to join the program,
So you can't
but
the steps show it, like you can't jump in when you're already within the profession, I guess?
so to initially get into the program, you cannot be working in manufacturing. There will be some people who work in manufacturing possibly in the classes. That's because we have a certain number of incumbents that we can take from our employer partners, but it's a small number, it's invitation only. So for most people you're dealing with, they need to not work in manufacturing when they are enrolled. If after they're enrolled and they get a manufacturing job, that's still okay. They can still be part of the program. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
So the Childcare Connection is to help folks find childcare. It's not the childcare training.
Now,
Because it's manufacturing training.
oh yeah, it's all manufacturing training. It prepares them for an entry-level position on a floor of a manufacturing company. Manufacturing company is defined as any company that makes something. So it could be socks, it could be airplane parts, it could be medical equipment, it could be cheese, it could be all the different things that Vermont makes. Yeah. Can you guys think of people that or are thinking of people that might be good for this program? Great, I see a few nods. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you. Any other questions? Any last minute questions? Okay, if you have questions, call me if you think about them later.
Is there a maximum number? You said you're looking for 15 to 20. Is there,
Oh.
if all of a sudden we bring 30 people or 30 people come to the table and they all say, oh, we talked to community partnership folks.
Right. Well, if we have that luxury, we will try to build another class and find another instructor. That would be the best case scenario. I mean, the worst thing that could happen would be
So each
too many.
class you'd like to be on the order of 15 to 20.
Yeah, like I said though, when it's the first class that's being run, like in Springfield, there were less, and they allowed us to run the class anyway. So, but yes, we are looking for at least 12 people. Yeah.
How are you connecting them to the manufacturer after the training's over?
So so we are not responsible for getting them interviews, but during the course, employers will be visiting to talk about opening positions. Like we have an employer panel today for Williston. They are in their second module, so it won't necessarily be the first module. It's up to them to apply. Our resource coordinators can refer them to people who can help them with their resume and interview techniques, that kind of thing. But we do not guarantee employment. That's up to them. We try to give them the accessibility to it.
And will the manufacturers from our community be doing the same thing, or is it all?
Yeah, so we are developing relationships in St. Albans. Everywhere there's a class, we start developing relationships with manufacturers in those areas, including temp agencies. Like we had someone placed through a temp agency. Yeah. This, of course, gives them a leg up having this certification in their interview. So that's also another way where we're making it more accessible.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to go over my time, so please call me with any questions.
Julia, while she's here. And what we'll do as well is this presentation I'll put in the weekly updates. I know we've had a block in there for the last, I think, 2 months about what this program's about. It's a very brief description. But we'll add to that, and we'll actually have this presentation as part of the weekly updates as well.
Thank you.
Website link in the minutes too.
Yeah, and there is, So if you go to the website, there's a lot of information, like an FAQ page, the application. You know, if you want to do it for yourself, there's also a great video which is available for you, for the clients. It's about a person who is an immigrant and took the CPT program and talked about how it changed his life. He's now working in a manufacturing company where he's very happy. So it could be a great motivator and just for informational too. And I'm going to Joe's going to be on our distribution list for our newsletter, and then he'll disseminate it because I don't have all of your email addresses. So you will be getting updates as things come up. Yeah. All right.
Okay, well, thank you, Julia.
Yeah.